Hello there and welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new, never seen any of our videos before, welcome. Please hit the subscribe button and see loads more of our content from Golf Shake to help you play more and play better. So in this video, as you've seen by the title, we're going to put 3 of the newest drivers on the market against each other here on the TrackMan inside in the Performance Centre here at Howley Hall Golf Club in Leeds. My name's Ryan Rastall, I'm the PGA professional here and equipment expert for golfshake.com. This time of year, there's loads of new tech and loads of clubs being released all the time. So what does that mean to you and I? Does that mean that what we have at the minute isn't as good? Does it mean that these are groundbreakingly amazing and going to be so much better than anything that's been on the market before and completely change our game? Well, generally not, but what it does mean is there's slight upgrades and changes from the previous models. And some of the other videos that we've done, one that we released recently was comparing the last 3 models of Callaway's drivers and having a look at those, and we saw some differences but not a massive one, not for me anyway. I did say in that video that if you're someone who has a slightly older driver or maybe you've never been fitted for one before, you may see some absolutely massive gains by changing to some of the newer technology. And we're going to have a bit of a look at 3 of these today. As you can see, we've got Aerojet from Cobra, we've got Callaway Paradigm, and we've got the Stealth 2 Plus from TaylorMade. I'm going to hit some shots here in the Performance Centre on the TrackMan, give you some feedback as to what I'm sort of thinking and feeling as I'm hitting them, and then we're going to take a bit of a look at some of the data at the end as well and have a bit of a chat about how they perform. We're going to start with the Cobra Aerojet LS driver, okay? So low spin, in terms of the shape, it's going to be very quick. We've got technology-wise, we've got the Power Bridge technology in there that's going to help stiffen the head, hopefully get some more ball speed. The Power Shell as well, so the way this head is made, the carbon fiber that's been used as well, and the hot face technology that we've got in there too. So all of this in this package should mean that we're going to get really good speed, hopefully some decent distance, and when I've tested it previously, I found the spin to be really good in terms of keeping that down, because that's something that I struggle with a little bit myself. So let's have a few hits with it and see how we get on. As you can see, I've hit a couple already, not too bad, but let's have a few hits. I would say looks wise, when we sit it down, we can see that carbon top on the driver there. I really like this. It's the best looking Cobra driver that I think we've seen for a while, and probably since F9, I think it's probably the best looking one since then. Let's have a few hits with it and see how it performs. So straight away, I mean, off the face, feels good, feels nice and solid. No kind of loud noise that you sometimes get with some of these drivers. They're a bit tinny. I think the carbon has added to keeping that sound under control a little bit, but in terms of feel, I think off the face it's very good, and yeah, we've come to expect that a bit from Cobra drivers really. And in terms of the quality that you get from Cobra, you know that you're going to get a driver that's going to perform, and this one is no exception. You know, certainly when we've tested it, it was very good, and the few shots I've hit so far today I've really liked as well. So let's hit a couple more. A little bit better strike, just down the right hand side there, but again, good hit, nice and solid. Just a little cut that I'm generally hitting it. Certainly the strikes off the face feel good. The shapes I'm getting look pretty straight that I'm hitting as well. I'm going to hit a few more now, so we're going to probably hit 10 half decent shots with each one and then have a bit of a comparison at the end. But certainly from looks, feel and ball flight, so far this one ticks a lot of boxes, and certainly I think for those of you out there looking to change a driver, price point's going to be something that you're a bit more sensitive about as well. So this is going to be significantly cheaper price than the other 2 that we're going to try. Does that influence your buying decision, or is it all down to performance, or is it brand orientated? you let me know. I mean, some people are just very loyal to each brand that they use. Some just want a driver that performs really, really nicely and not really bothered which brand it is. Now we've moved on to Stealth 2 Plus. So this is the slightly more adjustable driver, sliding weight, should be slightly lower spin. We've obviously got the carbon face in here for the second year now. It's apparently a bit more forgiving than the previous Stealth model, so let's see how that performs. Again, lots and lots of carbon in the head here, as we're seeing as a bit of a trend throughout the driver releases now, to really save that weight, move it around in the head a little bit more to make these more forgiving. So as you can see, I've hit a couple of shots with it already, and those of you that saw the review I did of the entire Stealth 2 lineup of drivers will know that I was struggling to find a shaft really that felt strong enough in these. I've got Hazardous Black now, 6.5, 70 gram low spin, still feels really soft, but like I say, it's the stiffest one I've got, so that's what I've got to go with. So I'm going to hit some more with it. I have hit some good shots, but let's have a bit of a look at where it's going. I mean, in terms of at address, I think it looks a little bit more kind of traditional. It's a bit cleaner looking than the Cobra did. So this all black gloss top, little TaylorMade symbol on there as well. So let's just hit a couple and see how they go. Pretty decent strike, I think, just a little bit cutty, but yeah, comes off the face really nicely. That carbon head obviously dampens the sound a little bit as well. Feel wise, again, feels pretty similar to the Cobra one, to be honest. A little bit duller sound because of the carbon face rather than the titanium that we see in the Cobra, but still, in terms of the feel, the looks, I probably prefer the look of this one slightly. I think just that more classic all black look, although those of you that like the more futuristic, I suppose, look, the carbon look on the top of the Cobra one will probably be more to your liking, but certainly performance wise I can't really feel that much difference between the two. I would say shaft wise this one just feels a little bit softer. So the third driver I'm going to hit is the Callaway Paradigm Triple Diamond, okay? We've done the reviews of these already. I've even done another follow-up video where I compared it against the last two Callaway drivers as well, so Rogue ST and also the Epic Speed. So both of those drivers are ones I've used as well. Any of you that have seen that video know that this marginally came out on top in terms of distance. We're talking a yard, maybe 2 yards, but what we saw in that test was that maybe it didn't have quite enough loft and the spin was a little bit low. So what I've done with this, instead of using the 8-degree driver like I did in that video, I've got the 9-degree head in here now. I've hit a few already and it seems to be launching a little bit higher and spinning a little bit more, and the kind of peak height I'm getting is a bit better as well. So I mean, 1 degree shouldn't make that much difference, and I actually had the 8 lofted up to 9 and it was still too low, so really they should be the same loft, but have performed for me massively differently. So let's have a few hits with this anyway, but I've hit sort of 4 or 5 shots already. Feel wise, I think out of the 3, this one really takes some beating. I just love the sound and the kind of feedback you get with it. But in terms of looks, sat behind the ball, I would say out of the 3 of these drivers, this one's probably third in the list, I think. You know, it's similar in looks to the Cobra, but the carbon kind of look on the top of the Cobra, with it being that kind of black and grey charcoaly sort of colour, I think looks a little bit nicer than this. And I think the kind of premium look of Stealth 2 kind of looks a little bit better than this as well. But it's all about, well, it's not all about performance, but it should be. So let's hit a few and see how it performs. Straight away, feels really good off the face. Love the sound, a little bit of a pulley one there, but the ball flights looks quite powerful, to be honest. And certainly that's what I found when I've tried it in testing. But like I said, I doubt when we look at the figures, I don't know because I've not even looked yet, but I doubt there's going to be a huge amount between these 3. But certainly feel wise, which is something very difficult for me to kind of convey to you, I feel like I will hit this one straighter than the others. I don't know why, it just feels more under control. But let me just hit it, certainly more than Stealth 2 anyway. That just felt like it was all over the place, but I think that's more the shaft and obviously my dodgy swing. But let's hit a couple more with this. Again, just feels really good off the face. Say slightly lower trajectory I think than the other two, but it still feels to me like it's coming off the face pretty quick and we're getting some decent distance. So now it's time to have a little bit of a look at the data. And we're not only going to look at which one's gone the furthest or come off the face the fastest or spun the best, but we're also going to pay a lot of attention to how closely dispersed they are downrange as well, because not only do we want to hit the ball a long way, we want to hit it fairly straight as well, don't we? So let's go ahead and take a look at the figures. When we take a bit of a look at the numbers here, we can see they're all quite similar in terms of performance, despite the differences in kind of feel that I was telling you about when hitting them. Well, let's have a look here. So in terms of swing speed, it's pretty much the same with all of them, around that 116 mile an hour mark. We can see in terms of carry distance, okay, we've got no more than sort of 5 yards splitting all three drivers, okay, so it's pretty close. So Stealth being slightly shorter than the others, I think that's more down to the shaft. I just couldn't time it properly, it didn't feel right. But we can see that the numbers we're getting were still pretty good and comparable to the others. I just don't know whether I trust it out on the golf course because of that. The shaft felt so soft, I didn't know whether I was going to hit it left or right really. And certainly when we look at the dispersion of these three, we'll see that, you know, that explains a little bit about that as well. But in terms of speed, so we can see that ball speed is similar again with them all. 169 Stealth, 170 with both Aerojet and Paradigm, and the spin slightly lower with Paradigm than the others. But we can see in terms of the height, they're pretty similar, they're within 3 yards of each other. Total distance, we're getting a little bit more out of Paradigm. Don't know whether I just hit a couple of better strikes with that, but certainly it was, you know, 2-3 yards longer than Aerojet, which we're not really going to split any hairs about that. And you know, and if we look at Stealth Plus 305, it's what, 6 yards shorter, so it's not a lot. It's a few paces out there on the golf course. You know, that might make a difference to some people, but you know, it's half a club really in terms of how far we're going to hit into the green. And I think the biggest test with these was which one was the straightest, okay? And if we look at the dispersion figures there, we can see Paradigm is straighter than the others, or certainly on the test that I've done. It's kind of what I felt when hitting it. It felt more stable. I knew where the club head was a little bit more. It felt a bit more responsive off the face. I don't know, there's something about it that just, you know yourself, sometimes you pick up a golf club and it just feels right, doesn't it? And you don't really know why. And to be honest, there's no reason why any of these should suit me better than any other. I've tried to make them as good as I can, each one of the drivers, in the way that I've set them in terms of the loft, and tried to optimize the distance I'm getting. Like I've already alluded to, the TaylorMade Stealth 2, the shaft, I don't think I've got one stiff enough here at the moment, which I'd like to try it with a slightly stiffer shaft in something like a Ventus Black, which I've used in it before and has felt really good. That might be something that I could try. So if you're listening, TaylorMade, if you want to send me one of those, that'd be lovely. But in terms of the way all three perform, we can see on here, it's very negligible, the difference between the three. They're all good, and certainly in terms of putting them in play, you're going to get very similar results out of all three of them. Now, in terms of purchasing these drivers, Aerojet is obviously coming in lower price points, probably going to be about 429-ish when it comes out, and Paradigm and Stealth are going to be over that 500 mark really. So that could factor into your decision making when you're looking at this. But as we always say, go and get properly fitted, try all these drivers and try the shafts. You'll find a driver that feels right for you, and hopefully you'll get some really, really good performance and consistency like we've seen here. Like I say, for me, the Paradigm just felt the best. I was hitting it really nicely, and I just felt like I was more under control of it. You may find completely the opposite when you try these drivers. Hopefully you've enjoyed that video. If you have, Please subscribe if you haven't done already. Give us a thumbs up, a bit of a like there as well. And if you've got any questions about fitting, about any of this new equipment, about how I found any of these heads and how they'll maybe compare to what you've already got, drop them in the comments section below. More than happy to answer any questions that you have, and keep watching our content here on the Golf Shake YouTube channel to help you play more and play better. See you soon.